Hello team. So had a bit of a false start there and realized my mic wasn't fully connected and then it ended the video. So only 3 minutes in, so I didn't lose too much time. Anyway, today's lesson or education is around weekend and social balance. So this is a key one for pretty much everyone that I want to work with. You know that I'm very, shall we say, promotive of, including balance. It's one of the things I try and teach within my coaching that this is something we should be practicing from the start because you could do a program, be super, super strict for, 6 to, even 20 weeks. But after that, when the socials start coming back into your life, how are you going to manage it? How are you going to make sure that you don't allow those socials to completely derail your progress and journey? Okay, because it's not just about the day itself, it's then about how it impacts the next day and how it impacts the next week, and then so on and so on. So, I've included two pictures here. Beer, you guys know I love a beer. But again, moderate it. Same with pizza. Love my pizza. Very hard, or say very hard to get out here. Not as good as being able to get it out in the likes of Manchester, where you've got an Italian restaurant around every corner. So feeling a little bit deprived of it. However, what I'm trying to show here is that, even myself, you might think I am Peter Perfect. I don't do any of these things. Damn right I do. And if someone was to take any of these sort of indulgences and enjoyment away from me, I would not be a very happy person. So I'm not going to let that do that to yourself. I'm not going to do it to you. I'm going to teach you how to include them within moderation. Okay, so let's get into it and just to kind of run over what I'm going to go through in this session. So, how to plan your day, so the day of the social, your weekly balance, how to basically look at the event as a weekly sort of event, not just the day itself, setting your standards and targets for the day, making healthier choices, practicing balance. So this is different from weekly balance. And then the last one, very interesting, it's managing peer pressure. So I'll wait to get into that so you can understand exactly what I mean around the peer pressure that often goes on these days. So first and foremost, planning your day. Okay, so this is where you want to look at your day. Most of these socials are basically in the calendar for at least a week. More often than not, they're in for longer than that, especially as we get older and actually have to plan things out. Yes, spontaneous days out with the missus, with friends are going to happen, but the more you experience, social situations, the more you're going to be able to, think about how to manage them best. So this is obviously looking at those social situations like a birthday, a wedding that you're going to attend, when the holiday season comes up where you're going to have things in the diary you can plan for. So first and foremost, calorie banking and backloading. Now, this is, super, super important because, a lot of people, and even including myself, have tried the whole method of, you know, I don't want to say starving because you're not going to starve after one day, but really restricting your food intake for the whole day because you think, oh, I'm balancing my macros out. But it's only going to, one, teach negative relationship with food and drink, which, it's the last thing you want to do because in the long term, that can be very, very hard to change. And number two, is it creates a binge mentality. So when you actually get to the event, go out for a meal, your sort of decision making, your cravings, everything is emphasized and mitigated by the fact that you've not managed the day well prior. And this can lead to you way over consuming in terms of alcohol, in terms of food, and to the point that you don't actually enjoy the social itself because you've just gone completely overboard. If you don't do it on the night, then I'm sure it's going to happen within a few days. Like I just know. So the way you want to do it is sort of look at this as sort of calorie backloading, or maybe a better way of putting it is carb backloading, carb and fat backloading, because you can keep yourself full and satiated for the rest of the day by focusing on things like protein and fiber. So what I mean by that is, you have a nice, nutritious breakfast full of, eggs, to lean protein, vegetables. You could even go down the sweet route of having, a bowl of protein oats with some fruit, and a couple of extra eggs on the side, making sure that it's something very filling. And you're not going to start that day off on something like a McDonald's breakfast, for example, because that's just starting as you mean to go on, and before you know it, you've consumed 5,000 plus calories that day. So, as I said, focus on protein and fiber. You want to typically have two main meals in that day and maybe some, protein focused snacks because let's face it, most of the time we're having a social occasion, it's in the evening, which includes a meal out at the restaurant. Okay, different circumstances might be you might go for brunch with the missus. This is where you just sort of jig the day around, where you actually, saving yourself from breakfast and you focus on brunch and a later dinner. A really important thing, and one thing I've always sworn by, is reward your workout, but make sure you have a nice, you know, energetic, activity filled start to the day with a good workout. Plan your maybe one of your harder workout days for that day. Maybe it's if you're doing strength training, it's a leg day. Maybe it's a CrossFit class. Typically I have a CrossFit partner WOD on a Saturday. Maybe it's a long run. Anything that one you enjoy, because it's always got to be enjoyed, but two that you feel is going to give you that sort of satisfaction that bam, I've earned my stripes today, and I can look at tonight with enjoyment, no anxiety, and something that I deserve at the end of the day. Increase activity and neat. So this is separate to workouts. Don't just be a slob for the whole day and sit on the couch watching Netflix. Get outside. Go and spend some time with the family. Go on a nice walk. Do some house chores, things that are going to keep you moving. Look at the day as the fact that typically you're not in work when you have a social in the evening. So for the day, maximize it in terms of activity. And again, just by doing, normal day-to-day sort of routines, such as chores, such as being out of the house and being active, you're going to increase your sort of calorie or energy expenditure, compared to a normal day, which, if you manage to stay consistent for the whole day, then it's going to give you a much bigger sort of window to be able to again enjoy the more indulgent things later on at night. And then sort of map out a loose plan for the event itself. So, you're going to get the train at 6 p.m. Your first bar, you're going to arrive at 7. You're going to stay there for a couple of hours. Then you've got your meal booked at 9 o'clock, etc., etc., all the way up until bedtime. Because again, you don't want to, unless like there's a real reason to stay up way later than usual. And typically, as we get older, there's not. If you haven't discovered by the age of 30 that nothing really good happens after 12 p.m., then maybe you need to reevaluate your life. But jokes aside, let's try and keep consistent with a bedtime routine, because and essentially what you're doing to yourself, if you do get to the weekend and then you see Friday and Saturday as just a free ticket to stay up super late, go overboard in terms of drinking, in terms of eating, etc. Well, just focusing on bedtime alone, you're giving yourself a mini jet lag essentially, because by the time Monday comes around, and this is speaking to most of you guys who have let's say a 9 to 5 job, and you've got to get up at a certain time, you might have kids, you've got to get them to school, you get up and you've not given yourself adequate amount of sleep or good quality of sleep, because you've sort of reset your bedtime, reset your circadian rhythm to be 3 or 4 hours out, just like as if you were to fly halfway across the US, and your time zone's now changed by 3 hours, or if you were to fly to another country, it's changed by a significant amount of time. Then you're just shooting yourself in the foot, and you're always playing catch up for the rest of that week as well. Next is the weekly balance. So a lot of people look at their sort of calories, macros, the diet in total as a day-to-day thing. I don't like that, because day to day is very, very different, and this means like you try and put in or balance a social day where you might be out going out for 2 meals, you might be on holiday, etc., etc. It's very, very hard to have that the same as a normal, say, working day where you're a lot more in control of things. So if you were to look at your week rather than a day, it gives you a lot more time to balance things out. Easiest thing to do for myself, and again, something I've practiced for a long, long time, is reducing calories the day before and the day after. So this might look like just reducing, the easiest one to do for me is lunchtime, because you're typically busy with work. I've also found, if I have too heavy a lunch, then it sort of makes me, tired and lethargic for the rest of the day, as a lot of you guys have mentioned as well when we've had the discussion. So, look at the day before. Let's just say the social is on Saturday. Friday, you look at your calorie consumption. Okay, your typical target is 2,500 calories. Let's just drop that by, 250. The same with the day after. Let's just drop it by 250. Easy math equation. You've saved yourself another 500 calories for the social occasion. As easy as that. Again, use the sort of excitement, let's say, for that social occasion to be as extra discipline and motivation for the rest of the week. Because it definitely helps when you're thinking about making a choice of, you walk past the local bakery, you see, your favorite pastry on display there, and it's a Wednesday morning, you think, actually, I'm gonna go out at the weekend. I'm actually gonna have a lovely sort of evening with my wife. We're gonna go and have a few drinks. We're gonna, eat some good, Thai food, whatever it is that you're doing. That might just give you that sort of moment to re or ask yourself the question, do I actually need that pastry? Is it something I want? Is it going to help me towards my goals? 9 times out of 10, that answer or even that delay is just going to cause you to say, no, I don't need it. I've got Saturday to look forward to. And again, it's motivating to actually look forward to that each and every day because, adding that discipline means that when you get to Saturday, again, it's that pat on the back, it's that reward system um, that we need to kind of, practice as well. It also adds focus to hitting your workouts. And apologies for that. Oh, you are kidding me.